After that day, his relationship with the housekeeper changed. He was doing it with her in the room. He asked her why she was holding back her excitement, because it's normal to moan. But the girl was worried that someone might hear. But Dong-soo assured her that no one would hear them, because the loud sound of the washing machine would help them. He asked her to lift her leg and lean on the typewriter, and he entered her. Immediately there was a knock on her door, and her mother asked if she was in the laundry. Anita replied that she was doing laundry now. The mother added that she should go up to her after it was done because she had a task for her. The protagonist told her in her ear that she had learned to lie pretty well and praised her. He thought she needed to be rewarded, and they started doing it. She told him it was too deep. Soon the housekeeper began to enjoy their relationship. Then she served the food to her father, and he looked at her strangely. His father could never have imagined that he had a relationship with her, and was constantly looking for an opportunity to be alone with Anita. But he did not succeed. Dong-soo asked his father how he was doing, and he started getting angry and tried to send him upstairs to study. His mother tried to stop him, but he stood his ground. Unlike his father, who had to hide his desire from his mother and him, he can satisfy his desire anytime and anywhere. He knew he couldn't do anything because of his mom. Then Anita was under the table and did all sorts of things with a banana. Dong-soo understood that his father had been holding back for a long time, because he was looking at her all the time like a hungry dog. He also asked her if he noticed that she was without underwear. He then asked her to speed up if she wanted to leave as soon as possible. Every day his excitement is quenched by his housekeeper, but what seemed like it would last forever soon became boring. When it became too easy to breed her for love, the spark that he first felt with her gradually began to fade. He was thinking about coming up with something else to feel more emotions. Then his friends came to him. They are here to cheer him up, because they thought that his parents would punish him. They asked him why he wasn't there. The protagonist replied that he had some business. Then the guys said that Sukyeon left for another guy while he was gone. He replied that he just didn't care. Friends were surprised, because he bought her expensive things and did everything to make love to her. They assumed that he was tired of her and that he already had a new girlfriend, but Dong-soo assured that they would find out soon. Then his friends told him that a new girl had transferred to them while he was away. She's a foreigner, so she's just here to learn a language to take an exam, but she's super beautiful. He was curious about the reaction of his friends, and he slowly turned his eyes, and suddenly a familiar face appeared in front of him. At that moment an interesting thought came into his head, and he found out this is the person he forgot about for a while, her daughter. After studying, Dong-soo took a bath because he was very tired. He picked up the phone and wondered what her daughter's name was. He assumed it was Cecilia. He understood that they had met in a very unexpected place. Excited, he looked at the photos he had taken secretly in college. She reminds him of her mom. She is definitely very beautiful. Then his housekeeper knocked and quietly went into the bathroom. She asked for forgiveness, and she told him that his parents had left on the first plane. They flew away for about 3 days, and Dong-soo understood that they were definitely lucky. He touched her and she shuddered. She was covered with only one towel. He told her that she does whatever he says, but Anita didn't answer anything. He asked her to eat next to him. His banana was still ready after he thought about her daughter. He noticed that she always smells so good. The housekeeper is trembling. Then he asked her again who he was, and Anita called him, Your Highness. Then he added what her body was born for, and she answered him. Hearing her answer, he pulled her jaw towards him and they kissed. Instead of resisting, the housekeeper responded to the kiss. He roughly grabbed the housekeeper and they started doing it. He was rougher than usual. She asked him to be slower after they did it, and he asked about her 20-year-old daughter. He enjoyed the pleasure of shooting inside her. Then he asked how old she was. Anita was 36 years old. He immediately realized that she got pregnant at the age of 16. He realized that she had been promiscuous from a young age, and she blushed as if she was ashamed. She said that she got married because of her family. He admitted that he doesn't care about her past because he likes her like that. At the same time, she got up and said that he should eat, so she would go cook. Dong-soo said that this is not required because it takes a lot of time and he will just order food at home, especially since they should have already come. The girl assumed that guests would come to them. The housekeeper was puzzled by his comment. He explained that it was a very nice thing. It was his little gift for her. Then the bell rang and someone shouted that they were already here. It was a gift he had just prepared for her. They were Dong-soo's friends. He told her to go and meet her gift. They didn't understand why he didn't open the door. Friends wanted to knock on the door. When the guy was doing it, the housekeeper opened the door and stood right in front of them. Friends were very embarrassed because of her. She asked for forgiveness and the guy asked if Dong-soo was at home. and she asked them to enter the house. She poured them tea. Friends understood that she was very beautiful. She had a great body, plus clothes so thin that they think they can see through her. Then the girl sat down and the guy looked at her and Anita noticed it and the guy averted his eyes. He was very embarrassed. He understood that now she would think badly of him. Then Dong-soo appeared and scared a friend. The protagonist asked why he was so scared, as if he had been caught peeping, but the guy denied everything. Dong-soo added that since he didn't do anything, he should calm down. A friend asked why he took so long to get down, but the protagonist explained that he was changing clothes. Another friend asked why he said to come, because he still has someone at home. The protagonist explained that there is no one superfluous because she is just a housekeeper. Friends understood that it was a little awkward because he said they should call the girls. At the same time, the protagonist began to laugh because the girls definitely would not walk with him and asked him to say something more plausible. A friend started laughing in response and the protagonist asked if they were preparing for girls. Anita immediately said that she would be in the kitchen, so if she was needed, they should call her. But he grabbed her by the hand and asked where she was going without his permission. He pulled her to him and she fell into his arms. She called him the owner and he was very indignant and started groping her. He immediately asked the guys if they wanted to be with the girls. He also added that she is pretty good, and if they want, he can let them spend time with her. He kept groping her, and she started crying. They are frozen in fear of what is happening in front of them. He told them to stop just standing or else they don't want to. He kissed the housekeeper's neck so that the guys could see, and violently squeezed her melons with his hands. A friend asked him to stop fooling around, because he would be in trouble. Others also asked him to stop, because this time he went too far. Dong-soo asked them if they were really scared. If not, then they have nothing to worry about. He also asked them to look at her, because he thought she was very depraved. She does whatever he tells her. She is his slave. If they can't believe it, then we'll invite them to look at her cans. He held up his t-shirt as if luring them. Cans of his housekeeper randomly swinging in front of them. He asked them if they were beautiful. He asked them to think, because she greeted them without underwear. He ordered her to do everything for their pleasure. Dong-gu added that he thought he could give them something nice, but if they still don't want it, then I'll take all the pleasure for myself. He grabbed his housekeeper and threw her on the floor. He asked her how dare she look at him like that. The protagonist ordered her to put a banana in her mouth and do everything to make it hard. The housekeeper closed her eyes in despair, but she eventually crawled to him on all fours and found her place. But before that, she had to thank him, which she did. She started licking a banana and he asked her to show them how she does it. He was sitting in front of his friends when he did this. He was like an emperor on the throne. They looked with an expression of disbelief at what was happening. He was treating the housekeeper more rudely now. He asked Anita to make it even better because all his friends are watching. And at that moment, one of his friends plucked up the courage and called his name. Bung blushed bright red to the neck, stuttered and barely uttered words. He didn't know if he could really do it. He generously waved his finger for Bung to come over. Jang tried to stop Bung, but pushed him away and said that he liked her very much. Bung approached him and Dong-soo told her to take off the housekeeper's pants. His hands were trembling. She tensed with tension when Bung put his hands on her body. She stopped doing it and he grabbed her. He ordered her to continue and she just looked at him in despair, and so he whispered in her ears. He confessed to her that he loves her, and the expression on her face turns him on a lot. He admitted that it would only be once and asked if she could do it for him. At this time, Bung looked intoxicated and couldn't take his eyes off his housekeeper. Her body was shaking violently when Bung started licking like a dog. His maid seemed to be trying to fight the playfulness and started shaking her head left and right with a banana. Another friend also wanted to join them and rejected his friend. But Jang held on to the end and Dong-soo told him to agree. He told him to stop staring and come have fun, because he wants to, and that's fine. The guy just couldn't hold back anymore and was on edge. Vaughn pushed Bung away and took his place. He stuck his face in and licked every corner and his housekeeper's body shook uncontrollably as his tongue pleasured her. Dong-soo smiled as he looked at Jang. His face was shocked by the sight that unfolded in front of him. He asked Vaughn to step back for a minute and picked up the housekeeper by the hair. The protagonist asked Anita if she could see it. Jang assumed that she was not his type and that she was old and not attractive to him. He saw Jang's trembling eyes. Dong-soo didn't like it and his ego suffered a little because of it. Dong-soo abandoned his housekeeper in front of Jang. He ordered her to satisfy all the desires of the young master, because of which his friend was simply shocked. His housekeeper crawled up to him and unzipped his pants. She took out his banana and started playing with it. Seeing all this, Dong-soo was very pleased. One action was enough and Jang gave up. Now he explores every part of his housekeeper's body. Bing was completely engrossed in her dumpling. The bodies of 3 guys and a housekeeper, intertwined with each other. Dong-soo thought they were crazy and that they were not the best rabid dogs. He watched intently as these dogs devoured the housekeeper. He remembered that he had the same feeling when he first saw Anita in his parents' bedroom. He decided to film it all on his phone. He was glad to finally see her face like this. He watched his housekeeper humoring hungry dogs. It turned him on a lot and he didn't understand why he was shaking so much. All 3 of them were doing this with her and then the guy used his hands and Anita shot. It was unexpected. The rudiments of anger flared up in him when he looked at the housekeeper, who seemed to belong to him, but she was shooting from another. But he was also overwhelmed by the strongest excitement, which suppressed other emotions. At the same time, Bung decided to push his friend away and lick it all off. Because of this picture, he began to touch himself, watching the housekeeper's face turn red. A friend asked Dong-soo if he wanted to join them, but he replied that they should not worry about him and do whatever was on their mind. Now that Dong-soo has allowed him, he has decided to proceed with the main course. She didn't want to do this and started asking Dong-soo to help her, but he just filmed everything on his phone and filmed. As soon as he gave them the green light in their actions, the dogs immediately moved to a new level. A friend asked if Anita liked it and she started denying everything. Then he grabbed her by the hair and ordered her to confess and threw her away. Then Bung decided to intervene, because he also wanted to try it and a friend passed the baton. He lay down on the floor and Bing told her to ride him. Her body trembled with humiliation, but she did it. Bung grabbed it and stuck his tongue in. The maid shook the rolls uncontrollably when the fat one mixed their saliva. Then the guy asked Dong about the anus and this question took him by surprise. He told him that everything had been done for a long time and therefore decided to use it. But in fact, Dong-soo lied because he didn't want them to start thinking that he was weak. And then he came in too. She bent like a bow and her buns took in the whole banana wunk. Because of this, Dong-soo experienced intense jealousy and anger. His anger flared towards his friends who were taking her away from him for the first time. But the worst thing is that he was seized with the fear that he would lose Anita if this continued. He was very angry, but immediately calmed himself down, because he was still driving him crazy. Then Jang also came up and asked her if she could, and without hesitation, she did it with him. She looked at Dong-soo. He felt sorry for her, but he could not step back. But for some reason it seemed to him that something was missing in this madness. He still needs something unusual and at that moment, his housekeeper's phone started vibrating. Her daughter, Cecilia, called. He grabbed her phone and ordered the guys to have fun, and he will come soon. Before he left, Anita could only say one word, but Dong-soo silently closed the door behind him.